Hello again, everyone. We are going to continue with some more practice in transcription. First, we will do a few Korean words. So let's just start. Sorry, I don't have a proper stylus. So the first word is 공무원, 공무원, 공무원. So try it yourself first. There, 공무원. So one important point here, you'll notice that phonetic transcriptions are always written in square brackets. So this is a common way that people might lose points is by forgetting to use the square brackets. Okay, so let's try another word. Um, Hobble. Sorry, hobble. Okay. Now, if you listen carefully, you'll notice that the two piops are actually not pronounced the same. So this came up in the last set of transcriptions, and we'll talk about it more later. Hobble. Okay, another important point here is that these are all different symbols. This, and this are all different symbols. So the second one is just an upside down A. There's another one that sometimes we'll see this one as well. It's this symbol just upside down, the upside down version of it. All four of these are different symbols. So you have to make sure to keep them distinct. Okay, let's try another one. 안전, 안전. So try it yourself. Again, you can do the same thing. You can pause the video with the words up there, try to transcribe it yourself, and see what you come up with. Okay. Okay. Sorry, that was a little messy. That's supposed to be, it's this symbol there. I don't have a proper stylus. I'm just using my finger. Okay. Oops. And oops, I would have lost half a mark there. Okay. Uh, Okay, so the next one has a bit of a trick to it. Oh, one thing to keep in mind, this is especially important when we do transcription of English, is that there's a lot of dialect variation. The important point in phonetic transcription is to get used to transcribing what you hear. So it doesn't matter what the dictionary says. What your goal is to transcribe what you actually hear. So if you hear somebody from Gyeongsangdo or Jeollado say something slightly differently, um, your goal should be to try to transcribe it the way they say it. But that's a skill that takes a long time to improve and get better. So we're just starting out, but you should have in mind that that's your end goal. Let's take the next one. Okay. Sorry, this looks so ugly. There we go. Passport. Yukwan. Yukwan. That's a labiovelar, supposed to be a labiovelar glide. There we go. Okay, yukwan. So you'll notice this, right? So that this is pronounced, it's those sangyuk, right? So that's why we transcribe it that way. Okay, so that's yukwan. Okay, so let's compare that to a near minimal pair. Yogwan, Yogwan. So you can hear that this kyuk is different from this 상격. 여권, 여권. Okay, so you all know that, but so to transcribe it then is going to look like this. 여권. Okay. Okay. So let's try another one. 수돗물. Tap water. 수돗물. Okay. 수돗물. So if you listen carefully, this middle syllable, it has the same sound as though you were saying this, right? So in isolation, of course, it's 돛, 수, 돛, 물, but as a complete word, it's 수돗물, and sounds like the word for money. Um, so we transcribe it this way. Okay, try another one. Forest fire, 산불, 산불. That's messy. Let me just redo it. So this is this fortition that we hear in many compounds in Korean, the same as we heard for kimbap. 산불 sounds like 쌍벽. Okay. Uh, maybe I can do this one here. Tuna, 참치. There we go. 참치. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this has a similar trick to it that we saw near the beginning. There you go. 동동주, 동동주. There we go. 동동주. And, well, 맥주, 맥주. Oops. Try that again. That's a little messy. 맥주. Okay. Okay, let's try another one. 갑시다. 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 Okay, another one. Sorry, that's a little messy. Okay. 먹습니다. 먹습니다. Oops. There we go. 먹습니다. And one more before we switch to English. 있어서. 있어서. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to try some English words. Given. Given. Okay. Okay, let's try another word. Okay. Okay. 이십. Okay. Now, there are at least three ways I hear this word being spoken. In my own speech, I say 20. 20. So it's going to look approximately like this. Okay. There is a slight difference here, but we'll go over it next week when we talk about phonology, but there is a slight difference to this one. 20. So you'll notice in my speech, it rhymes with the word funny. Funny. 20. Let's put that down. Okay. So another way I hear this word spoken is 20. That's it's supposed to be a T. And then, of course, in very careful speech, you can also hear 20. There. Okay, moving on. 30. So I just said it with very careful speech. So I'll write it that way first. So it's er 30. Okay, so let me rewrite that because it's not very clear. There we go. So that's another point. Let me do the other transcription. So in casual speech, I often say 30, and so do many other English speakers. Oops, that doesn't look very good. Okay, okay. So these three symbols are also all different. This one, we don't have it in English or Korean, but it's what we call a trill. You hear it in Spanish and Italian and Portuguese, like that. The second one, this is an approximant. We'll get to that later. Um, and it's r, as in the word rabbit, rabbit. And this one is a flap. And we have it, so a flap like this. Um, there are two words. You hear it in the word butter, of course. Let me rewrite that. butter. And also in the word autumn. So in my speech, it could be written with this vowel or with this vowel. In my speech, it's the one on top, the upside down A. It's a little messy, so let me rewrite it. Autumn. And you may notice it sounds similar to the Korean word autumn. So we have the flat both in English and Korean. Okay. So let's do another word. So inclusion. That's supposed to be an S. Okay. Inclusion. Um, you will notice that this sounds a little bit like a Sankit. We'll get to that later on uh, uh, in next week's classes. But for now, we can write it like this. Oops, I made a mistake. There we go. Inclusion. Um, Pressure. Okay. Pressure. There we go. Um, Good. Okay. So this one we can hear it a little bit. So I'm going to write it in now because to anticipate what we're going to talk about next week. Could. So for those of you who speak Korean, you can hear in the word could that it sounds pretty much like kiok rather than kiok, right? Okay. But we'll get to that more next week. Okay. I need space here, so I'll just erase that. Okay. Okay, so and if you look at the course notes, for some of these vowels, it varies a lot depending on the dialect. So I'm just going to, there are different ways that people say this in my own speech. Thought. So it's this. And in the US, it could either be like this, and I'll try to say it, thought, or depending on the dialect in the US, thought. And in UK varieties, it sounds like the last one as well. So let me just rewrite that last vowel because it looks a little messy. It's what we call an open O. It looks like a backwards letter C. Okay, moving on. Boat. Oops. Boat. Okay, and this is usually transcribed this way. Now, some speakers leave off the diphthong and just say it as boat, like that. Again, there's sound changes going on in the language, and for some speakers, this diphthong is turning just into a single vowel. But this is still a more common, still a commonly heard pronunciation. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I will let's look at two words. Comb. So, and again, You could hear k there. And the B is silent, right? So there's no, you don't say comb, you just say comb, and it's going to sound a lot like this Korean word, home, which of course doesn't have a diphthong. So I'll try to say it, well, I'll try to say, I can say the English word, comb, home. Okay. Um, Two more words, pasted, and I'll write the other one for comparison already, paste. He paced around the room. Pasted. He pasted a piece of paper to the wall. And you can hear the, you can probably, if you're Korean, you can probably hear that sounds like piep rather than piep. So it's pasted. And of course, this word is just paste. Okay, thank you very much.